Those could be closer to you by about 8:25. So let me take a closer look. And we are also just seeing a tornado watch issued for part of the area as well. But the storm I'm most concerned with, this is a tornado warning. We were talking about the possibility of some storms that contain some rotation today, and that's exactly what we're seeing right now closer to the Acton area. This is a fast-moving storm too, so it's going from Acton, eventually heading closer to, say, Lowell, Billerica, Chelmsford within the next 5 to 10 minutes. So if you are in any of those towns or communities that I just mentioned, now is the time to seek that shelter in a safe place in your home. So it could be a basement, a closet, a bathroom. Typically keep as many walls between you and the outside and avoid windows. But this tornado warning goes into effect until 8:45, and this is for parts of Essex and Middlesex counties. We're tracking more storms. I'm just going to zoom out a little bit and show you we still have a long way to go. So you can see more storms to our west, and that entire line is going to be moving from west to east. And now a tornado watch is in effect for parts of our area. I'm going to just query this so you can see this is for central and northeastern Massachusetts. This tornado watch goes into effect until 3 o'clock, but the storm that I am most concerned with right now, this is a tornado warning, which means that this is likely occurring right now. This tornado warning is in effect for parts of Middlesex and also Essex counties. I'm going to take a closer look at this tornado warning so you can see the area I'm most concerned with right now. This is near the Acton area, heading towards Westford, Lowell, Billerica. Those are some of the areas within this path, 495. This is not the time to be driving out on the roads if you're in any of these areas right now, because not only are we seeing torrential rain, which will make it tough to see any tornado should it be occurring, but also blinding rain. That's going to be a big concern that we will face as we go throughout the day today. So I also will be monitoring to see if there are any damage reports coming through. I have not heard of any right now, and I'm also in touch with the newsroom, so they will be hearing of anything that might be coming through. But this is for the potential for a storm that is occurring, possibly seeing a tornado within this. We're dealing with quite a bit of some shear today, and that means that there's a lot of rotation out there in the atmosphere. So if we get a storm that develops, we could potentially be dealing with a tornado situation, which is why we have this tornado warning right now. I'm going to go back and use this tool that shows me where we're seeing that rotation, and this is moving right over Acton right now. So if you're in the Acton area, I want to make sure that you are seeking shelter in the lowest level of your home. Right now, we're looking at parts of Route 27. I'm going to zoom in a little bit closer so you can see just some of the street levels, some of the areas I'm most concerned with. Nagog Hill Road, Newtown Road. We're looking at Hayward Road, Simon Willard Road, Partridge Pond Road, Greenwood Lane, Strawberry Hill, and this is in the Acton area. These are some of the streets that I'm most concerned with where there could potentially be a tornado moving over you right now. I'm also just double checking to see if there could be any other storms out there that could be leading to some rotation. We have some flood warnings in effect. A tornado watch was issued for part of our area right now, but the storm that I'm most concerned with, this is over the Acton area. This is where we have a tornado warning, and this goes through 8:45. And this is a fast-moving storm. We're dealing with torrential rain within this area, right along 119, 110. This includes parts of 495. So if you're in this area right now, I want to make sure you are not hitting the roads. This is not the time to be driving. This storm is moving fairly quickly to the northeast at about 30 miles per hour. And I'm going to put a tracker on this area rotation that I've been watching just to show you where this could be heading next. So if I call out your town, now's the time to make sure that you are going to a safe place in your house. This would include Carlisle by 8:38, Riverside 8:47, Chelmsford by 8:54, and Lowell by 9:06, give or take, but those are heading to your area next. So make sure you're inside, away from windows, go to the lowest level of your house. We're dealing with some storms that are developing today, and some of these are popping up fairly quickly, but we also still have a main line of storms to our west. I'm going to zoom out a little bit so you can see just torrential rain. I know there are a lot of colors on here right now, and I'm just going to take away the layer that shows me the watches and the warnings so you can see where the strongest storms are right now. We have the tornado warning in effect for parts of Middlesex and Essex counties. Right now, that storm, I'm watching it over Acton, but we still have a long way to go with this. So there are some storms developing across the western part of the state. That entire line is going to move from west to east. We do have the concern for tornadoes today, and that's why I'm talking about this tornado warning right now that goes through 8:45 for parts of Essex and Middlesex counties. But we're also watching that flooding concern. We've had so much rain recently. The ground is so saturated. So flash flooding will remain a concern through this afternoon. And we're also watching that concern, that risk for an isolated tornado. I wouldn't be surprised if we see some trees falling down today. Because the ground is so saturated, it's not going to take a strong gust of wind to cause more issues there. I am just going to, okay, so right now, just talking with my producer here, there could potentially be this tornado developing right on top of Acton right now. And what we're seeing with the velocity tool right now is just the rotation within that. Let me see if I can switch this tool to show you another thing that we watch to see if there could be any debris aloft above the surface. So it basically picks up on anything that could be falling, any tornado activity. So bear with me. Getting reports from our meteorologist, Sherry Spear, that there could be a possible touchdown in Acton, where I've been saying there is that concern here. And so just this is another tool that I'm using. This is called correlation coefficient, but basically this tells me if there could be any debris aloft. And that's what we're seeing north of the Acton area. So this is the storm that I'm most concerned with right now. It's starting to go from Acton and it's moving north. It's heading towards Carlisle, Westford, right along parts of 119 and 225. So if you're in these areas, I want to make sure you seek shelter. There's actually another tornado warning that was just issued, and this is for Hillsborough County, Merrimack County. So these storms also moving into southern New Hampshire. Bear with me while I zoom out, and I'm just going to be reading this as it's coming in and as I'm continuing to track these storms. So this is for parts of southern New Hampshire. I'm going to just query this right now as it's coming through. So this is another new tornado warning. This is for northwestern Rockingham County in southern New Hampshire, east central Hillsborough County in southern New Hampshire, southeastern Merrimack County in southern central New Hampshire. This goes until 9 o'clock. This is another area that I'm watching, and just some towns that could be impacted in this include Chester, Pembroke, and Londonderry. So if I'm listing off towns where you are, again, make sure you're seeking shelter. Wait for this storm to pass. I'm going to just remove this and take a look at that velocity tool, because that basically tells me where we're dealing with potential rotation within this storm. Let me zoom out just a second here. So bear with me. So this is a new tornado warning, and this is for parts of Rockingham County, Hillsborough, and Merrimack County, and this is in southern and central New Hampshire. Just taking a look at what we have here. So I'm seeing a little bit of rotation potentially right now. This could be closer to the Manchester area, Derry, New Hampshire. So listing off some towns there, I want to make sure that you're seeking shelter inside. Stay away from windows if you're in the path of this storm right now. And this is moving very quickly as well. This is moving northeast at 30 miles per hour. So this is another tornado warning. This goes until 9 o'clock. I'm just going to switch gears here and pull up the other tornado warning that we're tracking. This goes still for another 13 minutes. But this storm across southern New Hampshire, we're tracking right now, but we're also still dealing with this tornado warning across parts of Essex and Middlesex counties. This storm right now, and there's potential that this has touched down near the Acton area. This is still preliminary, so we will wait until we get more damage reports coming through. But this tornado warning right now, this is in effect through 8:45, and this includes parts of, this is likely heading towards Chelmsford, Carlisle, and it is producing a little bit of rotation within this. So this is the storm that I'm concerned with as well. This tornado warning goes until 8:45. And one thing that I've been noticing is this rain is coming down so intense right now. So it could be really tough to see if there is an actual tornado that is developing. So that's why if you're in this area, I just want to make sure you're seeking shelter in the lowest level of your home. This is closer to Route 27 right now. This is near the Carlisle area, approaching Westford. It's heading towards Lowell. It will be passing over 495 here soon. So this tornado warning, this goes into effect through 8:45. This includes parts of Essex and Middlesex counties. I'm just going to pop that up. So if you're in this area, what I want you to do is maybe go to that safe place in your home, take your Boston 25 weather app with you on your cell phone, and you can hear my voice as I'm talking about these storms. I will let you know when you're in the clear, but this is something we'll be monitoring. I'm just going to switch gears here, and I'm going to check. We're in contact with the National Weather Service. I'm going to look at my other computer here and just see if there are any reports coming through of any damage coming in so far. So far, it does not look like we have any reports of that damage, but that's something that I will continue to watch. There are some damage reports coming in from the storm that is over New Hampshire, so I'm going to go back to this one. This is a tornado warning for parts of Hillsborough, Merrimack, Rockingham, New Hampshire. That goes until 9 o'clock, and there is a storm report coming through from Manchester, New Hampshire, of trees down on Willow Street. So that gives you an idea of we are dealing with some damage reports coming through. We could continue to see more because these storms are possibly producing tornadoes here. So we're seeing some rotation within these storms. We still have several more hours and more storms heading our way. So I just want to make sure that you're weather aware as we go throughout the day today. I'm going to zoom out a little bit more. I realize there are a lot of colors right now on our radar, and that's a sign that we have some torrential rain moving through. We have a lot of alerts going on right now. 2 tornado warnings that I continue to track across parts of Essex and Middlesex counties. These storms are moving very quickly. So right now, the area I'm most concerned with, this is closer to Westford and Carlisle. I'm just going to zoom in on some areas where I was noticing some of that rotation here. And I'm going to pull up a tool here that I have as well. This gives you an idea. This is between Westford and Carlisle. So this is near Griffin Road. It's also near Vose Road, Garrison Road, Second Lane. It's near Tedmuck Road. So this is closer to the Westford and Carlisle area. This is about to pass over 495. This is not the time to be out on the roads as this is moving through. And this is heading towards Chelmsford. So you will be getting hit with this storm next. It's potentially leading to a tornado on the ground. So this is something that we need to take seriously. If you're not familiar with tornadoes around here, tornado warnings tell us that these storms are moving through right now, and a tornado could potentially be happening as this storm is moving through right now. A tornado watch also issued for part of our area. And this goes through 3 o'clock this afternoon. So that includes parts of central Massachusetts, northeastern Massachusetts. So if you're in some of these areas, I want you to be prepared as these storms are approaching. This tornado warning, this is for parts of southern New Hampshire, and I'm just going to take a look at, I'm using this tool on my cell phone right now just to get an idea. This is closer to the Auburn area. I'm not seeing as much of a defined rotation within this storm, but that doesn't mean that there isn't a tornado that could potentially be happening. So again, take this seriously. If you're in the Auburn area, right along parts of 101, 107, those are some of the areas that could be hit with this storm next, eventually heading towards Deerfield. And we're seeing torrential rain with these storms. So that is a concern because these storms, it might be tough to see a tornado if it is in fact touching the ground right now. So I just want to make sure that you're prepared in case these storms are moving through. I'm switching back here to the tornado warning that we're tracking here. Bear with me right now. This is for This is in between Westford and Carlisle right now, and this storm is showing signs of rotation here. I'm seeing what we call a couplet, so it's likely some tight rotation, so a tornado could be forming on the ground right now closer to Westford and Carlisle. Also right along 495, it's heading towards Lowell. I'm just going to zoom in a little bit more. So if you're near Garrison Road, Reed Road, Pine Hill Road, Princeton Way, Elm Street, and you're in the Carlisle area, if you're close to Westford, if you're near Chelmsford, I want to make sure you're going to the lowest level of your house, maybe a basement, maybe a bathroom. Stay away from windows. Take your cell phone with you so you can still listen to my voice, listen to some of these roads I'm calling out. So if you're in this area, I want to make sure you're staying safe and seeking shelter until the storm passes. I'm going to zoom out a little bit more and just show you an idea of where this storm is moving. It is likely approaching Chelmsford and Lowell next, but the places that I've been watching right now, this is in between Westford and Carlisle. It is about to head into Chelmsford right now, so if you're in that area, I want to make sure that you're seeking shelter on the lowest level of your house right now. This tornado warning, this goes until 8:45. This is a fast-moving storm. It's moving at about 30 miles per hour. We're also in contact with the National Weather Service, and they will let me know if there are any damage reports coming through. But we have a lot of storms that are developing today, and one of the main concerns, it is going to be flash flooding, but one of the issues we're also watching is that tornado potential right now. I'm just going to list off a couple of areas too, that if you're in the Chelmsford area, if you are near Hart Pond or the Chelmsford Country Club, these are some areas that I'm concerned with where that storm could be heading next. And this is likely producing, we're seeing rotation within this storm, which is why we have that tornado warning in effect until 8:45, but they could extend this as that risk starts to move more northeast, heading towards, say, Lowell and then on into the Merrimack Valley. So right now, this tornado warning, it goes in effect through 8:45, but we're watching some areas where we are getting reports of potential damage coming through, not just from this storm, but we also have this storm in southern New Hampshire where there have been some reports of trees down. This tornado warning across southern New Hampshire, this goes until 9 o'clock this morning. This storm right now, I'm watching as it's moving northeast, and eventually it is heading, bear with me just a second here. This one is near the Manchester area. We had some damage reports coming through from Manchester, New Hampshire. This is close to Route 107. It's near the Auburn area right now, eventually heading towards Deerfield. Where we're seeing these shades of red, that represents torrential rain, and it's also where I'm watching for a little bit of rotation. So this storm, if you're in the Manchester area, if you're closer to, say, Raymond, Deerfield, Auburn, New Hampshire, South Hooksett, make sure you are inside, stay away from windows. This tornado warning, still another about 20 minutes on this one as it's moving northeast at about 30 miles per hour. I'm just gonna go back to the storm here that I've been tracking across parts of Essex and Middlesex counties. We're just seeing a very defined area where there is rotation within this. And this is the area that I'm most concerned with, waiting to see if they do in fact extend this tornado warning, as that concern is still there. And it could be heading towards Lowell next, but it's moving right over Chelmsford right now. So if you're in the Chelmsford area, make sure you're seeking shelter in the lowest level of your house. I'm going to zoom in to street level just so you can see some of the areas I'm most concerned with. This is right along 495 near Westford Street, Clover Hill Drive, Abbott Lane, Cathy Road, Linwood Street, Rainbow Ave, also near Lock Road, right along parts of Route 4. So if you're in these areas, make sure you are at the lowest level of your house. Wait for this storm to pass. Eventually it's heading towards Dracut, and then it will be moving into southern New Hampshire if it holds together. I'm just going to kind of reset here, show you a wider view at what we have right now. I'm going to take off the watches and warnings we have right now because there are a lot of colors going on our radar, and it just shows you how we're dealing with a very active afternoon or morning getting underway, but this will continue through the afternoon. We're tracking some storms. These are severe storms right now, tornado warnings across the state. When we have a tornado warning, that tells us that a storm packing rotation, possibly a tornado, is moving through right now. When we have a tornado watch, which we are also seeing across the area, this is for north of Boston into the North Shore, on into central Massachusetts and southern New Hampshire. That tornado watch goes into effect through 3 o'clock. A tornado watch tells us that I want you to be prepared over the next couple of hours for storms to develop that could contain likely rotation or possibly a tornado. So just resetting. We have 2 tornado warnings for parts of our area right now, one in Massachusetts, one in New Hampshire. The storm I'm most concerned with right now, this is moving right over Chelmsford. This tornado warning, this goes until 8:45, but I'm waiting to see if they do extend that, just because we're dealing with some rotation within the storm. This could potentially be producing a tornado on the ground. Let's see here. So I apologize. Okay, so this tornado warning, now it has been extended for Middlesex County until 9:15. So this is the storm that we've been watching that is moving over Chelmsford right now. It's heading towards Lowell. Eventually, if it holds together, it could be heading towards Dracut and then eventually into southern New Hampshire. Just getting an idea as this new warning comes through, just to see if there are any reports coming through. So this will be near Lowell, Dracut, Tewksbury, and Tingsboro by about 8:50. This is not the time to be on the roads, and it looks like, hold on, we're getting a, yes, so the rotation that we're watching right now, this is right over Chelmsford, right along Route 3, just taking a closer look at some of the street levels. So if I call off a street and you live in this area, please make sure you're seeking shelter. Go to the lowest level of your house. This is near Wigan Street. The storm is moving pretty quickly. Old North Road, Smith Street, Technology Drive, Frank Street, Beach Street. I'm going to zoom out a little bit here, and I'm going to pop up a tool that I use, and this is called Velocity. And this just gives me an idea of where we could be dealing with that rotation. The couplet that I'm tracking that could be producing that tornado right now, it's right over Chelmsford. So if you're in the Chelmsford area, please go to the lowest level of your house, away from windows. This is starting to get closer to Lowell right now. It's right along Route 3, heading towards Tingsboro if it holds together, and then eventually into southern New Hampshire. So this tornado warning, it goes through 9:15 for parts of Middlesex County. Just going to switch gears here. I'm going to leave this warning up so you can see just where we're watching this concern. And we still also have that tornado warning over southern New Hampshire, and this is moving over right now Candia near Auburn, parts of 101, eventually heading towards Deerfield. This storm has a history of producing some damage closer to the Manchester area. We had some trees down, some reports of that. I'm just going to zoom back, and I'm going to step away from my computer while I leave this up, and I'm just going to walk over to my other computer to see if we're getting any reports of damage coming through. If you're just tuning in now, we are continuously on the air because of this storm that I'm watching. We have 2 tornado warnings in effect right now. Tornadoes, something that are becoming more common across parts of New England here. We take them very seriously, so that's why my job is to keep you safe, to make sure that we are letting you know where the storm is, where it could be impacting people. We have those damage reports coming in from Manchester, New Hampshire, of trees down on Willow Street, and that's in Hillsborough County. And then we're also looking at the tornado warnings in effect for Middlesex County. This goes until 9:15. The tornado warning that was issued earlier for parts of Essex County, the threat has now moved into Middlesex County. So that's what we're watching right now. And then also that tornado warning in effect for parts of Hillsborough, Merrimack, Rockingham counties in New Hampshire until 9 o'clock. So it looks like no damage reports coming through right now from that storm that's moving likely close to Chelmsford. But what we're seeing right now with some of the tools that I have just on my computers and on my cell phones is it looks like there could be some debris above the surface. So what we are able to capture is sometimes when you have that rotation within these storms, if it picks up on debris, you can see that above the surface with some of the tools that I have right now. So that is something that we're watching. And let's see, Jules, do you have any reports or are you hearing of anything coming through on your end?
Yeah, Vicki, we're still just tracking those warnings. By the way, you are doing a great job tracking all this really important information, some very severe weather in our area. Again, we're tracking tornado warnings for much of our viewing area. Essex County right now, certain parts of that community under a tornado warning until about 9:15 a.m., so another half hour of this. You've been doing a great job tracking potential touchdown in Acton. Again, we're looking online. So far, no reports yet. Hopefully people in those areas of concern are taking shelter. Again, you want to go to the lowest level of your home, a basement, avoid windows. Again, parts of our area are still under that tornado warning in effect, again, till 9:15 a.m. We have Chelmsford, Dracut, Lowell, Billerica, Tewksbury. If you live in those communities, you want to be weather aware right now. Take your phone, open the Boston 25 weather app and seek shelter. The lowest level of your home is best. Avoiding windows, again, a very active morning of weather. Again, Vicki, as you've been saying, with these warnings popping up, a few have expired at 8:45, but as this storm moves across our area, there are now other communities under this tornado warning. So again, we'll read out a few names of communities you want to be aware of for a tornado warning. In New Hampshire, we have Manchester, Pinardville, Raymond, South Hooksett. There's also some flash flood warnings in those communities as well as this storm makes its way across our viewing area. So again, those flash flood warnings are in effect until 11:30 a.m., but our biggest concern right now is the tornado warning impacting parts of our viewing area. Essex County right now, it appears Middlesex County might be in the clear at this point. But if you live in Chelmsford, Dracut, Lowell, you do want to take shelter, lowest level of your home, avoiding windows as we continue to track this tornado warning. Again, I'm refreshing our pages to see if anyone's reporting any damage in those communities. But again, hopefully people are just seeking shelter and staying safe. That is top priority in situations like this. But a tornado warning, obviously something our area doesn't see all too often, very serious, concerning, so people want to be weather aware in those communities of Essex County as this storm makes its way across our area. I don't know, Vicki, if you've seen any more damage reports, but at this point we are still tracking.
You know, no damage reports other than the Willow Street where we have some trees down near Manchester. I'm just taking a closer look right now, and it does look like this area of rotation, it's starting to broaden out a little bit. There still is this threat, though, and so this tornado warning, this goes through 9:15. Right now, the area that I'm watching, this is closer to Chelmsford and Lowell. And just to list off some areas that I'm concerned with, if you're familiar with this area, it's the Showcase Cinemas by Lowell. It's the Holiday Inn Express. These are places where this storm is moving over right now. And the rain is coming down so intense in these areas too. So if there is a tornado on the ground, it's going to be really tough to see. It's going to be rain wrapped. This is by the Lowe's, the Target here as you're approaching Route 3, closer to getting into Lowell, closer to the greater Lowell Family Y. I want to give you the heads up that this storm is going to be heading towards your area right now. So if you're in this area, if I've been calling off some of your streets, if I've been calling off your town, make sure you're seeking shelter in the lowest level of your house. What we're dealing with today is we have this boundary that's moving through, and there's a little bit of what we call shear within the atmosphere. So there's a little bit of rotation already going. And when you get a storm that's able to hold on to that rotation, that's where that tornado threat exists. So the tornado warning in effect through 9:15, this is for Middlesex counties. I want to just take a closer look at some of these towns, or some of the streets, rather, within the Lowell area near Chelmsford, where this storm could be moving over you right now. This is near Bedford Ave, Middlesex Street, Princeton Boulevard, Westford Street. So if I'm calling off some of your streets, make sure you're seeking shelter inside. Wait for this to pass. We still do have this tornado warning in effect across parts of New Hampshire. This goes until 9 o'clock, and this is an area that we've been watching a little bit for some of that rotation that was initially closer to Manchester. This storm is moving fairly quickly, so right now this is approaching Deerfield within the next 5 to 10 minutes, so I want to give you the heads up, make sure you are seeking shelter. But going back to this storm that I've been watching where there has been a little bit more rotation, a tighter area of rotation, this is where I'm most concerned with this tornado warning until 9:15, and this is for close to Chelmsford right now. Lowell, the area that I'm watching, it's right along parts of Route 3 and Route 4. I'm just going to switch gears here. This is approaching Dracut in the next 5 minutes. I'm going to zoom out, and I'm going to put a tracker on this storm so you can see just where this could be heading next. But this is right along 495. This is not the time to be out on the roads. Not only are we dealing with blinding rain, but the possibility of a tornado on the ground in this area, really into the Merrimack Valley, approaching southern New Hampshire here. This entire line is moving fairly quickly, and this storm is moving 30 miles per hour, so it's heading towards Pelham, New Hampshire by 9:03, Salem, New Hampshire by 9:25, Windham by 9:25 as well. So right now I'm going to kind of reset, show you a wider view. I realize there are a lot of colors on our radar right now, but this is just gives you an idea of what we're dealing with. It's a very active day today. I'm going to take the warnings off and show you that we have some storms moving through. We have torrential rain. Flash flooding is still going to be a big concern with these storms. So we are going to continue to track these as they are moving from west to east, but I'm going to put the watches and warnings back up so I can show you just this storm that we've been tracking really over the past about 30 minutes or so right now. And this storm is heading towards Lowell and Dracut. This storm, we've seen an area of rotation here. This is closer to Lowell and Dracut right now, so it's moving away from the Chelmsford area. And typically with these storms, you know, we still have some downpours nearby, so we might not be getting damage reports if there are any right away. But this is heading into Dracut here. I'm going to take a closer look at just some communities that I'm concerned with right now. So if I'm listing off your town, Flower Lane, Hoover Street, Donahue Road, Forest Park Road, make sure you're seeking shelter inside. Wait for this storm to pass. We still have this tornado warning goes through 9:15. This is for parts of Middlesex counties. And we are starting to see more tornado warnings across parts of Massachusetts, parts of New England. But if you're not familiar with what happens when there's a tornado warning, it tells you that we're tracking a storm where we're likely seeing some rotation, possibly a tornado on the ground. So you need to seek shelter immediately. Go to the lowest level of your home, a basement, maybe a closet, and wait for the storm to pass. This is near the Highlands area of Lowell, also getting closer to Chelmsford. It's heading towards the Acre Market Basket, the Merrimack River here, and this is eventually going to be crossing into southern New Hampshire. This is close to the Lowell National Historic Park. So if you recognize some of these areas, if you're within this area, make sure you stay inside, stay away from windows. It's not the time to be out on the roads. Wait for this storm to pass. I'm just going to step away from my computer for a second and just see if there are any more damage reports coming through. The National Weather Service, they receive these reports, they pass them along to us, and they give us an idea of what we're dealing with when it comes to some of these storms and the intensity of them, and also the history of any damage coming through. Still, the only damage report I have right now are trees down on Willow Street. This is from that storm that we were tracking coming out of Manchester. We still have that tornado warning for another 4 minutes here for parts of Hillsborough, Merrimack, and Rockingham counties, but that is set to expire. So right now, the one storm that I'm really concerned with, this is a tornado warning through 9:15. This is a tornado that's moving close to Chelmsford right now. It's moving at about 30 miles per hour. It's a fast-moving storm. It's going to be rain-wrapped, which means it's really hard to see if there is, in fact, a tornado on the ground. And I realize as we're approaching the 9 o'clock hour, if you're just tuning in, we're delaying the news right now because we have a serious situation right now with these severe storms moving through, a tornado warning in effect across parts of Middlesex County. This goes until 9:15. The storm I'm tracking right now, this is close to 113. This is near Flower Lane. It's also near Gilmore Street, Spark Street, Lantern Lane, Donahue Road, Merrill Lane. So if I'm listing off some places that you're familiar with, if you live within this area, I want to make sure you're seeking shelter inside. This tornado warning across southern New Hampshire, this is set to expire in a few minutes here. They notice that it is starting to weaken. There's not as much rotation within them, but there are still storms moving through. We're still dealing with some torrential rain in some of these areas. Let me switch gears here, and I'm going to go back to the storm that we are watching right now. So this goes through 9:15. This storm is moving quickly. It is now moving towards Drake-it. So Drake-it, you are in the path of this storm right now. I want to make sure you're seeking shelter inside. Get away from windows. I'm just going to look at another tool that I have here. This is moving closer, actually, in the next, I'd say, 10 minutes to Pelham, New Hampshire. So you're in the path of this storm next. This is moving right over 113 right now. I'm also going to switch gears here and just look at another tool that I have. This is we call correlation coefficient. It shows me if we could see any debris within the storm. We did see that earlier within the Chelmsford area, and now the storm, it's moving away from Lowell. It is moving, it is about to cross over into the southern New Hampshire area here, right along the Merrimack River. So this is moving out of Drake-it, about to be moving into southern New Hampshire here. A lot of really heavy rain within this as well. So if there is a tornado within this storm, then we are likely, it's going to be tough to see any tornadoes. But this tornado warning still in effect through 9:15. They are likely going to extend this into southern New Hampshire if this holds together. I'm starting to see that this is still producing that rotation. This is closer to the Drake-it area right now, but I want to make sure if you're in southern New Hampshire that you are also taking caution with this storm as it's approaching Pelham, southern New Hampshire within the next 10 minutes. The storm crossing over into southern New Hampshire. And then eventually I'm going to put a tracker on this to show you some of the areas that could be getting hit with this storm next. So putting a tracker on that, Pelham, New Hampshire by 9:09. And Jules, as we approach the 9 o'clock hour, I'm just going to have you reset as I continue to track this storm here.
Yeah, Vicki, you're doing a great job. If you're just tuning in right now, she's tracking some numerous tornado warnings in our viewing area right now. So very severe weather impacting our area. If you live in Middlesex County, especially close to Chelmsford, you should seek shelter immediately. There is a tornado warning in that area until 9:15 a.m. We know that storm that Vicki has been tracking is close to Chelmsford at this point. She says it's moving towards Drake-it at a rate of about 30 miles per hour. So it is a fast moving storm. But again, this is potentially very severe weather, a tornado warning in that area, which means seek shelter immediately. You need to avoid windows, go indoors, perhaps go to the lowest level of your home, whether that's a basement or a downstairs bathroom, even a closet. You just want to get away from windows and seek shelter. Bring your phone with you so you can keep tracking the storm with the Boston 25 weather app. But again, you need to seek shelter immediately. If you live in Chelmsford, Drake-it, Lowell, that Middlesex County area, you are under a tornado warning until 9:15 this morning. There is also concerns in southern New Hampshire. There's a storm system approaching Pelham, New Hampshire, which is also of concern at this point. If you live in that area, you do want to seek shelter immediately. You are under a tornado warning. Again, these are not all that common in our area, so we want you to be prepared. You need to seek shelter and avoid windows. Go to a closet, a basement, a downstairs bathroom, anywhere where you can stay safe. We've had a number of storm systems moving throughout our area with tornado warnings impacting our area. Earlier this morning, Vicki was tracking a potential touchdown in Acton. We're still awaiting some damage reports from that area. But again, storms are impacting our entire area, some severe weather in certain parts of Middlesex County. We are under that tornado warning in that area until 9:15 a.m. Again, for a storm that is moving close to Chelmsford at this point, moving at about 30 miles per hour. So not a slow storm, it's fast moving. but could potentially bring some very significant weather with that tornado warning. Again, if you live in Middlesex County, especially in communities like Chelmsford, Dracut, even Lowell, you need to seek shelter immediately. Go inside, avoid windows, go to the lowest level of your home, go to your basement if possible, even a bathroom or a closet if that's your best option. All this while we're also tracking flash flooding concerns with torrential downpours today. Again, our main concern at this point, it's 9 a.m., we have tornado warnings in parts of our communities, which again, not all that common for what we see here in New England, but a concern today, especially in Middlesex County right now. If you live in Chelmsford, you do need to seek shelter immediately as we continue tracking this storm. We have been checking online to see any damage reports. So far, nothing coming in just yet, but looking at the radar, you can see there is a lot of color out there. This is a fast-moving storm, so we are going to continue tracking this for you. Vicki, I've been checking online. So far, there aren't many mentions we're seeing about damage reports. Hopefully, people in these communities are staying safe and seeking shelter. That is most important. You need to stay away from windows, move to the lowest level of your home during these tornado warnings.
This storm is moving very quickly. So this has already been extended into southern New Hampshire. This goes through 9:30. So now that concern for the tornado or potential tornado, the rotation that we've been tracking, this is now moving into southern New Hampshire, as I was just saying. So this is now moving into Rockingham County, Hillsborough County. So this tornado warning now goes into effect until 9:30. So some areas that I was watching earlier that were under the risk, under that concern for seeing potentially a tornado, that is now in the clear from Chelmsford through Lowell. This is a very fast-moving storm, and we're also dealing with that torrential rainfall. I'm also going to widen out because I'm also watching more storms to our west, and I do want to mention there's a storm that I've been tracking. This is near the Spencer area. No warning right now for this, but I have been noticing a little bit of rotation within this storm, so there is the potential that we could see another warning issued for this storm closer to Brookfield and Spencer, and this is in Worcester County. Again, no actual warning for this storm right now, but it is something that I'm going to monitor. I'm going to take a wider view right now. I apologize as my graphics are kind of having a little bit of a delayed reaction, but there are storms that are moving through right now, and there are some severe storms as well. We're tracking this new tornado warning. This was just issued for parts of southern New Hampshire. This includes Rockingham County, and this goes until 9:30. This is now closer to the Pelham area and eventually Windham. I'm going to take a closer look so you can see just some of the areas that I'm watching closely right now where we could see this storm moving. And if I'm mentioning an area that you're familiar with, where you live, I want to make sure you stay inside, stay away from windows, and wait for this storm to pass. I'm just going to pop up a tool that I'm using to kind of track these. The rotation, it seems like it's a little bit broader in this area, but this is near Pelham, New Hampshire right now. This is near the Merrimack River. So this is an area I'm watching right along Route 38. 128, and this is close to 93. This is likely going to be passing west of 93, but I'll be monitoring that. This is not the time to be hitting the roads, but if you're in this area, make sure you're seeking shelter inside and wait for this storm to pass. We're tracking a whole line of storms that are moving through. These are some of the storms that are starting to fire up ahead of that main band. But an area that I'm watching right now is closer to Pelham, New Hampshire, and it looks like they did just expire that warning across Middlesex County. So you are in the clear, but still we have more storms to get through over the next couple of hours. So while that storm has passed, we're still dealing with a tornado watch, which means conditions over the next couple of hours, we could potentially see more of these tornado warnings happening. The difference between a watch and a warning. A tornado warning is what we are seeing over Pelham, New Hampshire right now. This means that there could potentially be a tornado occurring right now as this is moving through. A tornado watch means conditions are favorable over the next couple of hours where we could see some of these storms firing up. So we still have that threat across central Massachusetts into the North Shore and even the Merrimack Valley. And so right now we are watching this storm right now. I'm going to just pop this information up so you can see what area I'm concerned with. It's no longer part of of Massachusetts, the area that I'm watching right now, this is for southern New Hampshire. So we have the tornado warning over Rockingham County and Hillsborough County, and this goes until 9:30. We're watching this storm. It has a history of producing rotation across areas in Massachusetts near the Merrimack Valley, closer to Chelmsford, Dracut, Lowell. We were tracking that just a little while ago, and now this threat has moved into southern New Hampshire. So the area we're watching right now, this is just in southern New Hampshire. This is where we could potentially be dealing with rotation, a storm possibly producing a tornado near Pelham and Hudson. Eventually Salem, New Hampshire by 9:30. This storm right now, it's a fast-moving storm. I'm just going to look at one of the other tools that I'm seeing right now just to get an idea of what the rotation is looking like. Right now, it still looks like the area we're watching, this is closer to Pelham, New Hampshire, near Windham eventually, and this is included in the tornado warning through 9:30. I also still want to go back to the storm that I've been watching. There's no warning for this storm at the moment, but I'm seeing some intense rainfall, and I'm seeing some brighter shades in what I call velocity, and that tells me that there could be a little bit of rotation. It's broad rotation right now, but this is closer to the Spencer area. So I'll be watching that, seeing if this possibly starts to strengthen a little bit, if that area of rotation maybe gets a little bit tighter here. But if you're just tuning in, if you're waking up right now, we have some thunderstorms moving through. We have some severe storms moving through. Right now, we do have a tornado warning for our area. This is for parts of southern New Hampshire. Massachusetts is not included in that tornado warning at the moment, but this is closer to Pelham. I'm noticing that this area of rotation, it's broadening out, which tells me that the storm is weakening, but I can't confirm that right now, as that tornado warning is still in effect through 9:30. But this is just an area that we're watching where we could be dealing with damaging wind. Even outside of the tornado risk that we have today, we could see more trees that could fall, and that's because the ground is so saturated. So it's not going to take a strong gust up to about 60 miles per hour to knock down trees today. We could see that with winds that aren't quite as strong, but because the ground has been so saturated, and there still is that flooding concern, that flash flooding concern, we still have this tornado warning through 9:30. And what we sometimes see with this storm is sometimes it might weaken a little bit, but then it starts to strengthen as it continues to move fairly quickly. The storm is moving northeast at 30 miles per hour. So the risk for this tornado, it is moving out of Pelham and it's heading towards Windham, New Hampshire. This is going to approach 93 here in a little bit. So if you're within this area in southern New Hampshire, if you're in Rockingham County, Hillsborough County, I want to make sure that you are prepared as these stronger storms are moving through. And Jules, are you hearing anything on your end?
If you're just tuning in, I do want to mention meteorologist Vicki Graff doing a fabulous job of tracking some very severe weather. We have tornado warnings in quite a few parts of our viewing area. We want to quickly remind people who live in these areas, we're tracking Middlesex County, Hillsborough County and Rockingham County in New Hampshire, parts of Worcester County as well. If you live in those communities, some reminders for you. If you are under a tornado watch right now, you need to go to your basement. You need to seek shelter immediately. Avoid windows. You want the lowest floor in your home. That could be a bathroom, a closet, even a center hallway. If possible, you want to shelter in place without any windows. If there's a room that has no windows, you want to go there. For some added protection, you should get under something sturdy, perhaps a heavy table or a workbench. Cover your body with a blanket, a sleeping bag, or a mattress. Protect your head with anything you have available. If you happen to be outside or in a mobile home, you want to find a nearby building, preferably with a basement. Now, if you're in a car, don't try to outrun a tornado. Instead, find the nearest building, go inside, go to the lowest floor, again, perhaps a basement, and avoid any windows. We want to take you outside now for a live look in Worcester. This is our Polar Park camera. You can see some ominous skies out there. Chief Meteorologist Kevin Lemanowitz did tweet moments ago that there was possible rotation detected in Worcester County. We also are tracking potential touchdown earlier this morning in Acton. Again, we're awaiting storm damage reports to confirm any tornado activity, but much of our area under a tornado warning at this point. Again, those are northeastern parts of Middlesex County, communities like Chelmsford, Dracut, even Lowell. You need to place until 9:30 a.m. Another tornado warning for southern New Hampshire. Meteorologist Vicki Graff has told us that the storm has now moved out of Pelham, but it's approaching Windham, New Hampshire. So if you're in Rockingham County, Hillsborough County, New Hampshire, you do need to seek shelter immediately. We also want to remind you, meteorologist Sherry Spears writing in, our whole team of meteorologists are tracking this even though they're not here in studio with us. She wants to remind people in these counties to avoid going outside, obviously. Don't try to take any pictures or videos. In severe weather, your safety is priority. That is what's most important. You need to go indoors and seek shelter immediately. That means avoiding any windows, going to the lowest level of your home, perhaps a basement, a bathroom, even a closet. You need to avoid those windows and cover your body with something sturdy like a large table, a workbench, anything you have available. Protect your head. Again, a tornado warning is a very serious weather event, and we don't see them all that often, so we want to make sure that you are prepared. If you do live in northeastern Middlesex County, Worcester County, and in southern New Hampshire, we are tracking a number of tornado warnings. Again, one of them expiring at 9:30 this morning. It could potentially be extended, but I do want to read out some communities that are under that tornado warning until 9:30 a.m. Our meteorologists tweeting this information out if you have your phone with you. Tornado warnings in New Hampshire, cities like Pelham, Salem, and Windham. In Massachusetts, we have Chelmsford, Dracut, and Lowell. That tornado warning is set to expire at 9:15. Unclear if it will be extended, but we know meteorologist Vicki Graff is in studio. She's been doing an excellent job of tracking all of these developments and all the potential tornado activity in our viewing area. But again, these are rare occurrences, so I do want to remind our viewers who are in those communities, that would be northeastern Middlesex County, southern New Hampshire, even parts of Worcester County. You need to seek shelter immediately. Get to the lowest level of your home, whether that's a basement, a downstairs bathroom, even a closet. You want to avoid windows, and you want to make sure you're seeking shelter, perhaps covering your body with something sturdy like a table, a workbench, put a blanket, even a mattress over yourself. This is obviously a serious weather event that we don't see all that often here in New England. So again, tornado warnings for parts of our viewing area until 9:30 a.m. Right now, again, we're approaching 9:15 a.m. Some of those tornado warnings were set to expire at 9:15. We'll see if the storms have moved out of those communities. But for now, we do want to make sure you're being weather aware and that you're prepared to take shelter immediately. And again, I want to remind people in Worcester County, Chief Meteorologist Kevin Lemanowitz did tweet that rotation was detected in Worcester County. And we took you live out to our Polar Park camera. We'll see if we can get that up for you again to give you a live look of Worcester. In there, you can see outside some ominous looking clouds out there. Again, Chief Meteorologist Kevin Lemanowitz tweeting that rotation was detected in Worcester County. So we just want to prepare people in Spencer and Rutland nearby to also be weather aware. Taking a live look now at Saugus, you can see some gray skies out there. There are some strong winds we're detecting. People on the roads, if you're in Saugus or surrounding communities, you do want to get home or get to the nearest building as we continue to track this severe weather. It is a day to not go out if you don't have to be out there, just because we are tornado warnings in parts of our area. Again, those communities in northeastern Middlesex County, Worcester County, and southern New Hampshire are now in the most concerning areas. So we are approaching 9:15. We're going to be refreshing our feeds to see if some of those tornado warnings expire at this point. We know a few have been extended to 9:30 as this storm makes its way across our area. Earlier, Vicki had mentioned it is a fast-moving storm. About 30 miles per hour is the rate it's moving at, so it's not slow by any means, but we are tracking, again, it's bringing the potential for rotation, the potential for tornadoes, and we are in a tornado warning, again, for certain parts of our area. We're refreshing, it looks like nothing coming in just yet from the National Weather Service, but at this point we know that there is a tornado warning until 9:30 in certain communities. Those communities in southern New Hampshire, I want to read out those cities again. We've got we've got Pelham, Salem, and Windham for the tornado warning. We also have some flash flood warnings with this storm system that's moving through. Flash flood warning extended until 11:30 a.m. in New Hampshire, communities like Hudson, Keene, Merrimack, and Nashua. We also have Concord, Derry, Dover, and Rochester under that flash flood warning as well, as we continue to see if any of these tornado warnings will be extended. We do know there is a tornado warning until 9:30 a.m. In Chelmsford, Dracut, and Lowell, again, parts of Middlesex County, you need to seek shelter immediately. And just to remind everyone at home, if you live in any of these areas, you should go inside immediately and avoid windows. Go to the lowest level of your home, be it a basement, a bathroom, even a closet would work. As we're tracking tornado warnings, you need to make sure that you're protecting yourself and your family, perhaps seeking shelter under a workbench, a heavy piece of furniture, even a mattress will work. Again, this is a severe weather event. We've been tracking storm systems all throughout our viewing area, some of them potentially creating tornadoes. Earlier this morning, almost an hour ago now, Vicki was tracking a potential touchdown in Acton, but we're still awaiting some damage reports from that area. And again, a reminder for you, meteorologist Sherry Spear, reminding us all not to go outside during severe weather like this. Don't take those pictures and videos. Your safety is top priority. That's what's most important. You need to get inside and seek shelter. If you happen to be out right now, perhaps you're in a mobile home or you're in a car, you need to find the nearest building, preferably with a basement. And we do want to bring up some more reminders for you if you live in these communities that are currently under a tornado warning. We want to remind you to, again, seek shelter. Your safety is top priority. Go to the basement or an inside room. Avoid any windows. Of course, keep your windows closed. You want to be on the lowest floor possible. And that could be a bathroom, it could be a closet, even a center hallway. If possible, avoid sheltering in a room with any windows. And again, for some added protection, get under something sturdy. Maybe that's a heavy table or a workbench. You want to cover your body with a blanket, a sleeping bag, a mattress is even better. And of course, protect your head with anything you have available. Now, again, if you're in a mobile home or if you're outside your home, you want to find the nearest building, preferably one that has a basement. If you're in your car, don't try to outrun a tornado. Driving away is not the smartest choice here. You want to find the closest building possible and then again get to the lowest level of that building. So we have been tracking the storm. Our whole team of meteorologists are out. Even if they're not here in studio, they are continuing to track the radar. We've had meteorologist Vicki Graff doing an excellent job updating us minute by minute of this storm as it's moving across our area. There is a storm system we're tracking in southern New Hampshire. It has made its way out of Pelham. It is approaching Windham, New Hampshire, which again is Rockingham County, Hillsborough County. You need to avoid being outside, get indoors, seek shelter in the lowest level of whatever building you're in, whether or not you're home or if you're out, go to the closest building. So Vicki, we know we passed that 9:15 mark. Have any of the tornado warnings expired? Have they been extended? What's the latest?